Hey, today I'm going to show you how to create a character selection in the lobby system. So you can press this button to switch the character and it's all fully replicated. And if both players are ready and we start the match, then both players can see their selected character in the gameplay map. So before we start, I just want to let you know that you need to have watched my 4 parts of this lobby system tutorial series, and then you can take this as base for this tutorial. So what we're going to do first is creating some new character classes that the players can select later. And for the character classes, we are taking this character here as base, and this is basically the character that we used the last tutorials that was standing here on the platforms. And we're using this as base because it has already this lobby player info above the head, and it has also, like, you can run around, it has the basic inputs and so this is a good base that we can take. And if I right click here on this character class, create a child blueprint, call this BP char 1, then I'm duplicating this child blueprint. So we have another BP char 2, and I'm duplicating this BP char 2 as well. Then we have BP char 3. So for this tutorial, I'm creating these 3 character classes, and they all are now children of this base character class. So if we change anything here in this base character class, for example, how fast the character can run, all these children blueprints can do the same thing, basically. But here we have the possibility to change them individually. So for example, selecting another character mesh or other individual abilities that only, for example, char 2 should be able to do. And exactly this we will do now. I won't go in special abilities here, but for the tutorial that we can distinguish it better, I will just apply 3 different materials on the meshes. And I won't show in this tutorial how exactly to create these materials, because this tutorial is not about materials, and it's some super simple materials just to distinguish here the characters. So here we go. Here I just created these 3 materials, and they basically look just like this. Just here, basic color, and yeah, no optimization. We could have done also material instances and so, but optimization doesn't matter for now because it's just for the tutorial and just for testing that we can distinguish our character classes. And what I will do next is applying these materials on our characters. So I'm opening the first character, selecting character mesh, and choosing here the yellow material. Then I'm going over to the next character on the mesh. Let's choose here maybe the blue material. And for the third character, I'll choose the orange material. Like so. Okay. Then what we're doing next is going to the lobby folder and the lobby game mode. And here we're creating a new function and calling this select character class by index. And here we are adding 2 inputs. So first of all, PC, and as a type, player controller. So that's basically that we know which player is requesting to change the character class, and which character class it requests. That one we are passing with an integer, and I'm going here with character index. Then I'm getting here the player platforms for each loop. And I'll store here this array element because we will need it later in the same function, and to keep it more organized, it makes sense here at this point to just store it in the new local variable. So drag from here, promote to local variable, and I'll call this loop platform ref. Connect this here. And from there, we're getting the PC. So getting the PC that is stored in the lobby player platform, and we compare it. So search here for equals, compared here with this value. So we could connect this here directly, or you could right click here and search for PC, scroll down to the very bottom and get PC here. So this and this is basically the same value. So this comes here from the input, but it's just more organized as if you would drag it here all over there. Yeah, just more organized. And then we're adding here a branch. So what we're doing here is basically we have a player requesting to change the character class, and then we are looking in all available player platforms, or in all player platforms that we have in our map, which one has the same, is connected with the same player controller. So we will know which character class, which character we need to change, which player platform we need to adjust. So what we're doing now here on true is adding a sequence. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear the character that is currently standing on the platform, because in the step after we want to replace it with the newly requested character class. So we're getting here now the lobby player, or the loop platform ref that we created and set here. And from there, we are getting the current character. Then we first want to check if that is valid, so if there is even a character standing currently on this platform. And if that is valid, then drag here from the current character, it's important. Then we want to destroy here the current character. On is valid. So now we remove the character from this platform, and now we create a new local variable and call this selected character class. And I'll choose here, up here, the variable type. I'm searching here for actor, and I'm not directly choosing actor, but I'm choosing here class reference in the side menu here. Then we're going to set here the selected character class on this then one of the sequence. So first destroying the character, current character that's standing on there. Then we're going to spawn the character in a bit, but first we're going to store the selected character class in this variable here. And we're setting this here to what we first need to do is creating here in the game as this time as normal variable here, so not as local variable. For the variables here, we are creating a new variable, calling this available character classes. And that's also already perfect that this here is now a as variable type here an actor class. So we can leave it like this and choosing here an array. Then compiling this, and here as our default classes, we're adding 3 array elements, choosing here char1, char2, and char3. So the 3 character classes we created in this tutorial at the very beginning. Then we're dragging in here this array and get here a copy. So we're getting one element of this, and this element is basically the character index. So again, we can connect this like this here, or we can just get the character index to keep it more organized. So now we've stored here this in this local variable, and we're directly using this to spawn an actor from class. Then for the spawn transform, so where this new character should spawn, we're getting the loop platform ref and getting the player spawn transform component. And from that one, we are getting the road transform. And then for the return value here, we're getting again the loop platform and setting here the current character to the return value here of the new spawned character. And what we are also doing is setting the actor enable collision of this character to false, because otherwise we get some problems if the new character spawns, that it will spawn besides it, because there are some collision problems, and you should be able or should be safe to just disable it, and by that we're just ensuring that the character will spawn at its place on the platform where we have this player spawn transform component. So what we need to do next is, because right now it should already work to switch the character, but what if the server is starting the match and all players are traveling to the gameplay map, and then of course in the gameplay map the players want to have their selected character class and want to play with that character class. And what we're going to do is the server will store in its own game instance that is persistent all the time. So even if we are switching a level, like moving to the gameplay map, the game instance stays persistent, stays the same. So the server will store in the game instance the selected character classes of all players. And then if the new players will spawn in the new gameplay map or in the gameplay map, then it will apply these classes to the characters. So what we do for that is going now to the game instance and creating here a new variable. We're gonna call this selected characters of all players. And I go here, set this variable up on the right. I'm setting the variable type to string, and I will set here this to a map. And so for once we have here selected the string, and here on the right where it says now integer, we are searching for actor, and choosing actor class reference. So what's the idea behind it? It's the string that will be the identifier for the server to know which character selected which character class, and the string is basically we're just gonna take the player name for that, because like each player has a unique name. If it is local, we have this desktop name with these numbers, and if we play on Steam, then it will be the Steam name. So we have the Steam name, and connected to the Steam name, then so basically if we're searching then for the name, then we get the corresponding related character class that the character has selected, or the player has selected. So we don't need the game instance anymore, so just created here the variable, closing this. And in the lobby game mode, I'm now getting the game instance and casting to BP our game instance. And I converted this here to a pure cast. Also make sure that if you haven't done so far, that in your project settings, in the maps and modes, you have selected this same game instance. And if you don't have a game instance, then you should create one. And this game instance here, I am getting now the this variable we created, get selected characters of all players. I'm then adding here an element, and basically this here is this variable type here is a map, and adding elements to a map doesn't mean like as it is for arrays where you just add more and more elements. Adding means here that it will also replace the element. So we have here a key that will be the player name, and we have here the character class. And for the character class, we're taking here the local variable we created, selected character class. And for the player name, we are getting the PC and getting the player state and getting the player name. So what I just wanted to say is if the same player is selecting or requesting to select different characters like after each other, then it won't add each time a new entry here to this selected characters of all players. It will just see, oh, we have this player name already, and it will just adjust or replace the related character class in this map here. So if we have this, then next what you might want to do but don't have to do is, if your character is selecting a character class, then we could set the character could set the ready status of this player to not ready again, depending on what you think is best. Could also say switching the character class should not affect the ready status. If the player was already ready, it's fine. So, but if you want to do this, it's also super simple. We're getting the PC here and casting to the lobby PC. You can also convert this here to pure cast. and getting the player lobby info PC, setting members in player lobby info, connecting this here, and I'm choosing here the be ready, set this to false. So you can also skip these 4 nodes here and just continue now what I'm doing next. And for that we need again the PC, and I'm updating here the lobby player info. And then if we did that, we did everything we needed, and it's not necessary that the for each loop here will continuing going to the next loop element and search for the player, because we did everything we wanted. And we can add here a return node to basically break or stop the whole function here, because we're done. So next we go to the lobby PC. So I'm opening here the BP lobby PC, and I'm adding here a new custom event in event graph and calling this select character on server. I'm setting this replicates here to run on server and ticking reliable. And then I'm adding here a multi-gate, not a multiply, a multi-gate. So we can toggle between or through all our available character classes. Yeah, you can also adjust it differently in your UI. I don't know, however you want to select the character classes, but we have the main function done here, and you can use it basically in different ways, how you're coming up with the character index in your UI. So I'm using here the multi-gate, adding 3 pins for 3 characters, setting this to loop, and I will set the start index to 1. So because by default, I will also do that in a bit, I want to go with the very first character. And yeah, if we start with this multi-gate here, then we might want to select the second character. So I'm getting here, or what we can do is an event we can play, can get or create us a reference for our game mode. So I'm getting the game mode here and casting or casting to the lobby game mode, converting this to pure cast, promoting this to a variable, calling this lobby GM ref, connecting this here. So then we can go down here again, getting our lobby game mode reference, and calling now the function select character class by index. As PC, I'm taking here self, because we are already here in a controller class in the lobby PC. And I will duplicate this here 2 times. So connecting this like so. So first we select index 0, on the second we select index 1, and then we select here index 2. And next, what I said is that we're gonna go with the very first character as default character class when we're spawning in the lobby. And to do that, we go here to the lobby player platform and edit this. And here where we're spawning the character, this is basically used at the very first time for the player. And what we did here in the last tutorials, on the tutorial series, we can remove basically these nodes here. So selecting these nodes and just remove them. Then we get here the game mode, casting to the lobby GM. Can again convert this to pure cast. And from here, we are now calling the select character class by index node. For the PC, we're taking basically the same value here. And for the character index, this is our default character class. And we set this here to 0. And if we test this now with 2 players, I play as listen server, then you see here we have 2 times the yellow character selected here now as our default character class. And what we can do next is in the UI that we are actually able to select our character class. And we want to call for that this select character on server custom event that we created in our lobby PC. So I'm now going to the lobby UI and creating here a new button. I will just duplicate for this the ready button and renaming the text to switch character. Also, I can check if we still have on here any bindings. No, we don't have bindings on here for enabled. It's fine. So we have the switch character button here, and I'm gonna call this WB_button switch char. And if we click this, we basically wanna getting the player controller and casting to lobby PC. And there we want to switch, or how do we call this? Select character class and server. And what you could also do here is basically instead of the multi-gate, you can just go with directly connect this here with one of these and dragging the character index on this function to select it here or to create here a new input pin. And then you basically could calling or setting the index right here from the UI if you have some other selections here in the UI to select the character. Yeah, but I will just go now here that it will trigger this multi-gate and toggling between all 3 character classes and repeating the process. So if we play now and we are switching the character here, you can see here replicated on both players, it's switching the character class. You can also do it on here, all replicated. And next or last thing we need to do is if the host is starting the match, then in the new map, these players want to have their selected character class. So for that, let's go to our map that will open when we start the match. So I'm going here to the gameplay map. And yeah, can also create a new map for that because it's almost nothing in here, nothing special. So what we're doing also is creating a new game mode in here because we need that. So I'm creating a new blueprint, calling this or adding this here to blueprints gameplay folder, calling this BP gameplay GM. Of course, you can also use your game mode that you have already in your gameplay map. And for the default pawn class, we can even leave it here as default pawn, so empty. So if you play here, it's just the basic default pawn, because we will replace it now with the selected character class. And for that, we are going for that. Also, I don't know if you need it. If you have a gameplay PC, you can apply it here as the player controller class. Yeah, it's not important now for this tutorial. So then go here, open up the gameplay GM, and creating here a new override function. So not just creating a new function, click here on override and search now for get default pawn class. So you can search here get default pawn class for controller. This one here we don't need. I don't know if you need this later, so we'll just disconnect this and leave this here alone, lying around in this function here. But we're not using this. For the in controller, we are getting the player state and getting here the player name. Then I'm getting the game instance, casting to our game instance. So since the game mode is only existing on the server, also the server then will trigger, once a new player joins, will trigger this function here, and will then take a look in its own game instance here, which character class is related or corresponding to this player name that just joined. And then we'll select the class, the pawn class it should use for this player. So I'm getting here from the game instance the selected character class or selected characters of all players. Finding here, use the find node, connect this with the get player name. And first of all, check here just in case if that is a valid class. Adding here a branch. So if this is not a valid class, then we could just go with, you could go with character 0 or whatever, or it could go with a totally other class. So it could also go here with BP third person character. And that would also, for example, would be the case if we would play now directly from the gameplay map. It would automatically select now this third person character class, because it couldn't find here a relation, because this map was empty when starting here from the gameplay map. But if you're coming from the lobby as it should be, starting the match, then the server has here this one filled with information, and then it should also go here through the true pin. And for the class, we are then choosing this find here. So select the find return value here with the return node. If we are going now back to the lobby map, we can test it. Playing again with 2 players. I'm toggling the character or toggling the ready status, and if I switch the character class, you will see here now that the ready status will turn unready, not ready. And I can switch the character class here. So on the left, we have the blue character, and on the right, the orange character. So let's make both players ready, starting the match. And now you can see here, we can play here with the blue character, and we can play here with the orange character. So we successfully implemented a character class, and That's basically everything for this tutorial. I hope it helped you as always, and then see you in the next one.